All right, here we go. It is July 31st, 2025, and you are locked in to the LXG Fantasy Football Update. Okay, so the big day, the draft, is set for August 15th. And look, if you haven't started your prep yet, well, the clock is officially ticking, my friend. That's right, just 15 days until we're on the clock. So let's not waste any time. We're going to jump right into the biggest team headlines that you absolutely need to know about. First up, we're talking about some massive deals going down for the big guys in the trenches. It seems like teams are finally opening up their wallets to protect their franchise quarterbacks. And wow, are they spending big. And leading the charge, no pun intended, are the Chargers. Under new head coach Jim Harbaugh, it's pretty clear they're all about physicality. So what's their first order of business? You guessed it, securing the blind side for Justin Herbert. And what a number it is. We're talking $114 million over 4 years. But get this, $92 million of that is guaranteed. That is staggering. This contract, it doesn't just lock down Herbert's blind side. It completely resets the entire market for elite offensive tackles everywhere. Not to be outdone, right? The Raiders followed suit. They locked up their own standout left tackle, Colton Miller. So that brings some much-needed stability to their O-line. But pay close attention to this next part. They're reportedly now turning their focus to wide receiver Jakobi Meyers. Remember that name, because we're definitely going to circle back to him later. And over in Cincinnati, it looks like Joe Burrow's getting another weapon. The Bengals just scooped up tight end Noah Fant, right after he was released by Seattle. Now he's joining let's just say, a very crowded tight end room with Mike Gesicki. That's going to be a real battle for targets. So all these team moves, they're creating these ripple effects for the players themselves, which naturally brings us to our key player news. All right, so we've gone from big money deals to big time drama. Let's get into the holdouts and, unfortunately, the injuries that are already shaking up training camps across the league. First up, you can probably hear a collective sigh of relief coming out of Washington. Terry McLaurin is back with the team. The holdout is over. Kinda. He's now holding in, which means, yeah, he's at camp, but he's not going to practice until that new contract gets signed. And man, you can just hear the relief in his coach's voice. Dan Quinn is just thrilled to have his star player back in the building, even if, the business side of things is still getting hammered at.
Okay, now for some really concerning news, this time out of the Chargers camp. Running back Najee Harris was placed on the non-football injury list. This was after a fireworks accident, and what was first called superficial, well, now it's sounding much, much more serious.
And this quote from Jim Harbaugh, it really says it all. When a head coach comes out and says, "We're praying for healing," and gives you absolutely zero timetable for a return, that just raises major, major red flags about Najee's availability going forward. And look, the injury bug is definitely biting all over the league. In Baltimore, it's bad news for the Ravens, as tight end Isaiah Likely is now out for 6 weeks with a foot fracture that needs surgery. A little bit of better news out of Seattle, where tackle Charles Cross is expected back for Week 1, so that's good. But the real chaos? It's in Cleveland. Kenny Pickett's hamstring injury has just thrown their whole four-way QB battle into complete and utter disarray. So we've covered the confirmed injuries. Now let's move on to maybe the biggest stare-down in the entire NFL. Yep, we're talking about the situation brewing down in Dallas. The Cowboys, they got a deal done with tight end Jake Ferguson, which is great for him, but their superstar, he's still waiting. And here's the crucial point. You have to listen to this quote from Cowboys COO Stephen Jones. The team is publicly putting the pressure squarely back on Micah Parsons. They're making it sound like he's the one holding up the deal. It's a total classic negotiation tactic, just playing out right in front of us in the media. All right, let's shift gears for a second. I want to talk about a truly incredible stat that might have completely flown under your radar last season. This one's a good one. That's right, the number is 0, as in Jakobi Meyers had 0 drops. He did not drop a single pass all of last season. And this era of high-flying, sometimes inconsistent receivers, that level of reliability, it's just almost unheard of. It's wild.
And that, my friends, is why we talked about the Raiders wanting to give him an extension. 87 catches, with not one single drop. That's the most in the entire NFL without a drop. It's the literal definition of sure-handed, and it is exactly why that man is about to get paid. Big time.
And that brings us to our final word for today. You know, we usually end with some kind of provocative question, but today we have a special message. A message for one very specific team in our league.
And to the team Thunder Pussy, you guys might want to change your name, because the only thing I've seen Thunder is the sound of your team hitting rock bottom, year after year after year. That's also this update. Good luck with your prep. Some of you clearly need it.